My third speech is over racism and how it can be solved at Appalachian State campus. On my last speech, I talked about reparations, and I said that, reparations really isn't going to help. What instead helps is a generational change from person to person. And it sticks with that in this speech. So after researching racism at Appalachian State, I kind of saw on their website that they had multiple articles about attacks and stuff like that. And an anonymous writer wrote, during the July 4th weekend, the car of an Appalachian State University student was covered with swastikas and racist slurs. The assailant scratched the hate speech and images into the side and back of the car. This incident is one of too many that have taken place in greater numbers in town and on campus since 2016. So the most concerning part of that was that it says in greater numbers since 2016, meaning that it's really honestly getting worse. So I did more research, and I saw that Abby Bennett from the News Observer wrote, a white supremacy group hung a banger at Appalachian State University this week. Identity Evropa members hung the banner, which read, a new dawn is breaking, rise to get active, Identity Evropa. This was on Monday evening. So again, more attacks and more incidences. So I decided to go on the App State website and look at their code of conduct and all that and see what they've done in response. And App State wrote, an inclusive, excellent student advisory board, which will meet on the chair once per month starting fall 2020, listens to students and provide a safe platform for discussion of those and other issues with the department chair. There's also been a scholarship for BIPOC, and this was created by the Black at App State petition. So I thought about how helpful that is, and I thought, yeah, that's helpful, but it's more of compensation for incidences and not a solution for the future. And so I thought back to high school. I thought back to my freshman year at college, and I kind of realized none of racism and all this are not topics that are really talked about. I remember we read Narrative Life of Frederick Douglass, but briefly, we skipped over a lot of parts because the teacher said it was uncomfortable. And a lot of Civil War, racism, civil rights, all this stuff, it's very brief. And the teachers don't like talking about it, the students don't like hearing about it. But I think that, that's not really we are taught history because history does not repeat itself. And Rick Wormelli from the Educational Leadership wrote, don't just skim information on the civil rights movement and leaders, and don't limit its study to Black History Month. Give it full attention throughout the school year. Study more than just the struggles of Black Americans. Civil rights isn't just about unequal treatment for one group. And I agree with this 100%. He was writing about school and how they don't really teach it. So that I did more research, and I saw that in Mississippi, Joyce Chen from the Rolling Stone magazines wrote, a Mississippi school district recently decided to remove Harper Lee's classic novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, from its 8th grade reading list after receiving complaints about the book's language and that it made people uncomfortable. And I think they're missing the whole point of To Kill a Mockingbird. The whole point is that it is uncomfortable, and ignorance isn't bliss in this situation. Ignorance is a big problem, and acting colorblind isn't going to solve anything. So Noah Berlansky from NBC News wrote, when a person says they're colorblind, to me that means they're blind to racism and they're blind to differences. If they don't see race, they're not seeing the diversity of humanity, whether that diversity is skin color, hair texture, or culture, and I completely agree with that. With that being said, I think that racism as a whole in the App State community is a problem, and I think that the best way to do this is to educate those who need to be educated on the topic. Because even in App State in my history class, it's not spoken about much, and I think that in order to end racism, the best solution and the most important solution is to sit students down and to teach them about what's going on and what has happened and why we are here and all that kind of stuff. And I think that then people will begin to realize, oh, well, that's wrong. Oh, this was something that humans have done, and you can't ignore it because we are taught history, so the history does not repeat itself. And if you ignore it, if you say it's uncomfortable and all that stuff, it's not solving anything. It's instead turning a blind eye to the problem. And I believe that the best thing that must be done is to educate students and to make people aware of the problem, and therefore it might make people realize, oh well, this is wrong, and it might create a more educated and peaceful atmosphere.